Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one person or one starfish at a time. As always, guys, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share this, how we get the word out about what we do. I'm excited for our guest today. Kaiden I just met. He's only 22 years old, runs multiple businesses, started his first one at 19. He does small engine like repair stuff. He does a wrap company. I'm gonna butcher some of these. His first company was installing emergency hand pumps. So if your power went out, you still had water. I've gathered that's what it is. Pretty cool. A lot of stuff for a very young person. So excited to have him on today, and hopefully he can share some value for you guys, which I know he will. So thanks for being on, Kaiden.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Awesome. So what made you want to start a business at 19?
I've always just been really intrigued on how business works. And then also it's just been my mom and I growing up, and so I've seen how much work and effort and how much sacrifice she's made for me. And so at 19, I was like, you know what? It's time that I start a business, start making it so that I can make sure that one day she won't have to worry about money or anything like that. So
Wow,
that's my main drive right there.
cool. Are you an only child?
Yeah, I'm an only child.
You and your mom.
Yep.
Awesome. When did your dad leave, if you don't mind me asking? Or has he
Right
never been in the
before I
picture?
was, yeah, pretty much. He left right before I was born. So I know him. We talk sometimes and everything, but he just hasn't really been in my life that much. So
A sperm donor, not a dad.
yeah, pretty much.
There's a lot of those out there. Um, so when you started your business at 19, I mean, it's pretty young to start a business. What are some of the things that you had to overcome or work through to help it become, somewhat successful, whatever successful means to you?
Yeah, there were quite a bit of challenges for sure. One of them was trying to figure out how to advertise to that market.
Mm.
um, and just try and that's velocity hand pump. So we install uh, emergency hand pumps in wells, and so it was trying to figure out um, who to advertise to. That was one of the first challenges. Once I overcame that, it was the next challenge. Kind of sounds funny, but I was watching all that money come in, and I went, "Wow, I'm doing really good."
I'm rich.
And yeah, I'm rich. I'm gonna start spending it on this and that, and I was buying Ray-Bans and all this expensive stuff, and um, after I started seeing the money come in, then after I started to realize, okay, I got to slow down on my spending and put this back into the company if I want to grow it.
What
So,
made you realize that?
well, thankfully my mom, she does bookkeeping, and so we were able to sit down and have a heart to heart, and she was like, kind of spending a little much here, a little too much here, a little too much there. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I need to focus in on building the business instead of looking like a business person. I need to
Right.
start putting that money
And
back
be one.
into the business. Yeah, and be one. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow, that's
So,
cool that you learned that early. And then you decided to start other businesses, kind of a serial entrepreneur from a young age. Why did you do that? Was it one getting slow and you just were like you wanting to branch out, or you just got bored? What made you want to start other businesses?
well, this one was the second one that uh, I ended up buying into it. I saw an opportunity, and I had worked at this company before, and I'd put like about uh, 6 years into it before I started my other company.
You
And
started working young.
oh yeah, 13.
Okay, I'm
I,
like, hmm.
yeah. So I just had an opportunity to buy into it and took the opportunity, and it's doing pretty good. So,
Wow. Did I mean you sound like your mom through all this was pretty supportive, is that right?
oh yeah, she's always
Well,
supported my goals and my dreams, and um, Yeah, she's my number one. She's my go-to. We're like best friends. We can always rely on each other, go to each other for anything. So,
And she ran her own business too, then you said bookkeeping?
well, she works for somebody who does
Okay.
bookkeeping, but she does her own little thing on the side too. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And I was like, I feel like for some parents, it'd be hard to see your kid at first go and decide to be an entrepreneur instead of like traditional, go to college or go to university or whatever the case may be, that traditional way of doing it, or get a good job and get a pension and da 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 da. And to go see you like go out and try to like build a business. Um, with that first years, have you gone through that? Tell us a little bit, and I don't know, maybe it was just, like, instant success, or, like, how many people did you have to talk to? How many people did you have to call? How much rejection did you have to go through to build any one of these businesses? Do you remember some of those days that were just, like, really tough and a lot of people just saying, "No, no, no"?
Oh yeah, there's been a ton of those, especially the business that I bought into. Um, we it's a small engine company, and so we repair small engines and we sell lawnmowers and stuff. And so, yeah, lots of rejection, lots of customers that come in with a negative attitude, and that gets really draining. Um, and yeah, it was hard for my mom to watch, especially with this lawnmower company. With Velocity Hand Pump, I had to go door to door several times and I got rejected quite a bit. And
Door to door,
then,
eh? Wow.
yeah, yep, door to door, that was crazy. It was
And you're
fun, but
19.
yeah, 19 going door to door. And that first time that door slams in your face, you're like, oh, do I want to even keep doing this? And then you go to the second one and they do the same thing. And by like the fifth door, your head's down and you're, man, am I doing this right? Am I doing something wrong? And you go home and you listen to some podcasts and read some books about selling and get back out there, and same thing happens the next day. And you get a few sales, but it is definitely really hard. But once you're confident, once you get that first sale and your confidence just skyrockets, you're like, wow, okay, maybe I can do this. And I heard this quote and it said, you're 24 yeses or 24 no's away from a yes. And so every time I would knock on a door and they would say no, I'd count down, like, okay, I'm 23, 23 no's away. Just keep knocking the neighborhood until I'd get a yes. And once I started doing that, like counting down from 24 no's until I got a yes, it helped. I was just like, okay, I know I'm at least gonna get 24 no's a day. And
And you'll get one yes.
and then I'll get one yes, and it'll be worth it in the
Wow.
end. So
That's cool. I never heard that one. I like that one. I'm gonna tell some of my team now. 24 no's to a yes. And was that what you found? Like, was that pretty reliable? Really?
Yeah, I mean, there were some days I got down to like 10 and I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." And
Right.
as you get better
But
in
as an
sales,
average, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But starting out, that definitely saved my mentality on like, okay, man, I can do this. So,
What drove you after the first couple days that were so tough? Like, why didn't you quit? You didn't have to keep going. Like, why did you decide to keep going? Like, why didn't you like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna get a job like most people do and go get a job, not have to deal with this.
yeah, I'm pretty stubborn.
Okay.
I once I set my mind to something, I go for it until either it crumbles down in front of me or until I make it work, and until I win. And another thing that really helped was I would tell myself every day, I'm doing this for my mom, and I'm going to one day it's all going to work out. Uh, whether this business works out or this business works out, whatever whatever one works out, it's all gonna work out.
Wow, that's so cool that you could, work through that. And then you got into personal development, obviously at a young age too. When did you start reading and listening? Like you said, you were into sales, stuff like that. When did you start getting into that and what got you into that?
Yeah, so I got into it around 18 is when I joined my first like coaching group.
Oh,
And went to some events, heard Ed Milet speak,
okay.
and as soon as I heard him speak, I went, that's who I want to listen to. And
Mhm.
so I got onto his podcast, started reading his podcast or listening to his podcast, bought his book, started reading his book. Um, I bought Grant Cardone's book, like 10X Your Life, and started reading that. But by far the Power of One More has been my top book that I've just really enjoyed. And that and oh, what's it called? Extreme Ownership. That book is really good as well. So
That's so good. So what got you into like coaching that you were willing to spend money on yourself at 18? Who was there a person that was like, "Hey, check this out." Like what was it that even got you started at 18?
well, I knew I wasn't gonna go to college. I just was like, it's not for me. I tried one semester of it and moved on to campus, and I was just like, this isn't for me. I took a business course, and the business professor the whole time was just like bashing on business owners. And I was like, he's like, yeah. And he was like, don't start a business. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. And I went, you know what? This makes me want to do it even more. Like when someone tells me I can't do something, it makes me
Right.
want to do it even more. And so I was like, I'm gonna find an alternate thing to do. And so I did some research. I was following the Diesel brothers online and on Instagram, and one of them was posting that he was starting a coaching group. And I was like, oh, there we go. That's what I'm gonna do. It's less than college. It's, 300, $400 a month. That's way less than college. I can invest in that. And so I joined that, and that's what really got me started down the path of coaching
Cool.
and all that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So, if someone wanted to get into this young person wanted to get into starting a business, what are some things that you would say they need to be, I mean, beyond, I guess, knocking on doors and I mean, if that is some businesses aren't that obviously, but like rejection you're going to have everywhere, perceived rejection, I like to say. Um,
Mm.
beyond that, what are some things that people need to really, I don't know, strengths they need to work on that would make starting a business, I don't know if the right word is easier, but the chances of it being successful higher?
Yeah, I would say number one thing is um you're going to get stressed, and that's just gonna happen. So learn to deal with stress. For me, that's energy work. I really believe in energy work, like foot zones, cranial zones, meditation, and that kind of stuff has really helped with my stress. So I would say figure out figure out what stresses you out, and then figure out how to deal with that stress. Also, another thing that I've learned um, is learn how to control your emotions. If you can control your emotions, you can control your mind and your day and how everything like kind of works. I found that, I had so many customers calling me names, and they would come into my store and scream at me, and just because I couldn't find the right part, or I didn't have the part in stock, or they didn't come prepared with a model number or whatever. And that started taking a toll on me, and I would let that determine my whole day. And until I started waking up every morning and going, you know what, today's going to be a good day, no matter what happens, because I'm going to make it a good day. And so I would say learn what stresses you out and how to deal with that stress, and then learn to control your emotions. I'll admit I would lose my temper really easily, And there was one point where I got really mad and I threw a phone at at my wall, and it broke the phone. And afterwards, one of my employees came up to me and he goes, "Hey, you want to go outside and cool off? I'll take care of the front." And it was at that moment that I realized, wow, I need to work on mastering my emotions. That one's a really big one. Another one is work on your health. Even if you're healthy now, because once you get into the everyday go, 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 business is fast paced, and you've got to be willing to also put in the work on your health. And so that's mental health, that's physical health, that's everything. And I would say that make that a non-negotiable, like set 1 day a week or 2 days a week to work on that and fully work on it and give yourself time to heal and to um, just just work on the mental reps and the physical reps. I I used to work out. I don't anymore. I need to get back into that. I need to start working and putting those physical reps in. I've had to slow down and work on some mental stuff and some other physical problems that I've had. Um, run. I've been running these businesses just nonstop. I haven't taken a day off ever since I started, pretty much. And so the the not being able to slow down and work on yourself is it can take a huge toll on you. So those two things I would say are the main things that I would really focus on going into it.
So you mentioned your health. That's something you're working on. What do you like? I mean, you don't have to touch on it, but what exactly are you doing to work on it and make it better?
Yeah. So um that's where the foot zones come in, and um the cranial zones, all the energy work that I'm doing has really helped. Like just this year, or I would say about 2 or 3 years ago, I um like all of a sudden wasn't able to eat gluten, and I've never had a problem with that before. And it just hit me out of the blue, and I was like, oh man, and so I had to really watch what I was eating, and then um I've had about a month where I haven't really been working on any of my businesses because I've been focusing on my health because it was getting scary. My body was starting to shut down because I was under so much stress that I would just be walking along and boom, I'd pass out, wake up, and I had a bloody nose all of a sudden. And then I wasn't able to eat and or sleep that well, and I went, okay, I've got to focus on my health. I've really let that slip over the past couple of years. So that's where I've just been, like I said, foot zones, cranial zones. There's also this other thing, I can't remember what it's called, but they can do like a physical on you without even uh touching you. It's like you hold this thing, and then
Oh.
uh this lady goes through and she puts this thing on your pressure points, and it's like a metal pin, and anyway it'll do a whole physical on you and tell you what you're lacking in, what you need, all of that. So I've had that done.
What'd you find out? What was causing it?
Just stress, just so much stress. um
Oh,
Last week, uh, started on Saturday. I had this really weird sensory thing. I couldn't touch anything without. It's like it was like when you drag your nails on a chalkboard, and how that like gives you the
I got a shiver
weird
right there.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. Just everything I touched with my hands and with my feet, and just this weird sensory thing, and it was just stress that was causing it. So yesterday I went and had a foot zone done, and or actually a cranial zone done, and now it's completely gone. And now I can handle things again. And um, but it's just really weird what stress does to your body.
Wow. Well, and everyone that probably listens to this pretty much knows that when I was diagnosed with MS in 2019, definitely stress brought that on. So it definitely could do a lot of interesting things to your body. And so I wholeheartedly agree with this message. I endorse this message. Look after your health because if you could be the richest guy in the graveyard. So you don't want to be that guy. You want to, live life. And so it is hard when you're running. I know I was running really hard for a very long time, and my body eventually said, "We're enough," and it still fights it. I still fight it. It fights me, I fight it, because it's hard when you're an A-type personality and you're running a business, it's hard to slow down. And so great job to you for figuring that out, and hopefully anyone listens, like, we're in a hustle society, but we do have to look after ourselves at the same time. So it's like hustle and still look after yourself. Um, and do both. That's awesome. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, Caden? Where do you see this going? You're starting super young. What's your dream? I mean, retire your mom, look after your mom. I know that's probably going to happen the next couple of years, not going to take very long. I can't see that taking long. So what do you see after that?
Yeah. Eventually, well, I want to speak on stage, and go to some events, speak on stage. I'm currently working on a book at the moment, um, and I want to get to the point where I can teach people about um, challenges that I've had to overcome throughout my life, and how they can some tools that I've learned to help me with that, and how they can apply it in their lives. So I kind of want to start a coaching group eventually. I don't know if that'll happen within the next 5 years. Maybe it will. Um, I am working with some investors right now to help grow and expand two of my companies. And I here pretty soon, probably within the next 2 years, I am working on building a shop house, so I'm hoping that I'll have that done in the next couple of years. And uh, man, I have so many goals, but yeah, pretty much my top ones are write a book, speak on stage, and um, be on a couple of podcasts. So.
I love it. So in wrapping up, I always have three final questions and then anything we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners. First and final question is if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence you would say that could help them find it?
I'd say figure out what what's something that what's something that you would be willing to die for, pretty much. Like for me, I'd be willing to die for my mom. And so with that, it's like, what pain are you willing um to handle through all of this? And so that's why I say what would you be willing to die for? Because you're gonna go through a lot of pain when starting and in anything. And um yeah, that's what I'd say.
So I love that. Second question, what's a favorite quote and why?
I really like um I really like just the title of Ed's book, The Power of One More. Just one more day. I like my favorite part in that book was when he said that he would ask his dad, he'd be like, "Are you gonna quit drinking today?" And then he would be like, "I don't know, but I'll make it one more day. I'll quit tomorrow."
Right.
And that's got to be my favorite part and favorite quote.
Day. Third and final question, what's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Um, that's a tough one. Um,
What do you want to be remembered for?
I would say make an impact, do something impactful. Um, I know that I want to leave an impact on people and touch their lives.
That's cool. You run into someone in a grocery store, they're like, "Hey, Kaden, that was awesome. What's something we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners?"
Ooh, I would say I'm gonna go back to the power of one more with Ed. Um, I've been going through a legal battle recently, and in one of my companies, and one thing that I've had to tell myself is just take it day by day. And there's been days that I've been really low, and I've literally had to tell myself I'll quit tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes along and I'm like, I'll quit tomorrow. And so I'd say really the power of one more has helped me through that. And it's been really that's really had an impact on me. So
Oh, I love that. Guys, I'm sure you'll want to follow Caden and see what his journey takes him in the next 22 years of his life. I love it. Very, very cool. Guys, make sure to rate, review, subscribe. All his information will be in the show notes. And share. And if we go out there and change one life or one starfish at a time, together we can help change the world. Thanks for being on, Caden.
yeah, thank you for having me.